Imagine That, the podcast where we explore the magic behind the magic of your favorite theme parks. Join us as we pull back the curtain on the creative process, storytelling, and design principles that make Disney parks and beyond so immersive. Whether you're a lifelong fan, a curious creative, or just love spotting the details most people miss, you're in the right place. So get ready to tap into your imagination as we take a deeper dive into the lands, attractions, and stories that bring the parks to life. Let's imagine that together. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Imagine That. I'm your host, Amanda, and today we're going to be talking about Blaine Gibson. So, before we get started, of course, we need to thank our sponsors, Sunken City Design, Getaway Today, and Where in the Park. And of course, big shout out to our Lamplighters, our Patreons, keeping that conversation going over on our Discord, which, if you have not yet joined our absolutely free Discord, you totally should, because we're in there. Everyone from all departments in there, and we are chatting about all things theme parks each and every day and the latest and greatest news. And it's a lot of fun. So come hang out with us. If you want to, the link is in the show notes below. So click right there and come join the fun. All right. So before we get into today's topic, I'm not alone by myself, just sitting here in the studio. We have my husband, Kevin, from Where in the Park. Hi, Kevin.
There, let's do this.
Let's do this. All right. So, like I said, we are going to be talking about Disney legend Blaine Gibson, and his fingerprints are actually a lot of places at Disney parks. So, a lot more than I originally thought before doing some research on this episode. Like, I knew of like the partner statue, right? There's some things that like the diehard Disney fans were like, yes, that is a Blaine Gibson piece. But there's some other pieces around the parks as well that I did not know he worked on. So I'm excited to dive into today's episode. So
Actually, I have a thought
yeah,
about that where
you
there are a
do.
few things like you were saying with Blaine Gibson and the partner statue. I feel like there's some things that maybe they aren't household knowledge, but Disney fandom knows some things, right? And
Right.
going into it is kind of like Sam McKim, like when we talked to Matt McKim a few months ago, where Sam McKim, like in my head and a lot of Disney fandom's head, it's like, yeah, he created the original souvenir park map. But he did so much more. And then Blaine Gibson's kind of in that same category to me where yeah, he did the partner statue. I know that about him. But then you look into how much more he did. It's like, "Oh, how come that's all that we know about this guy?" And yeah, there's a
Yeah.
few others out there. Like you have Bob Gurr, where it's like he did all the vehicles. So it's like, well, no, he actually did other things. Like it's just kind of a weird world with Imagineering that we as fans kind of like put a kind of like just a title on these people with the one thing that they're known for, but there's more. So we're here to go into that. That's the whole reason why you're listening to this podcast, and I'm excited to share what we've learned about Blaine Gibson.
Yeah, absolutely. And we have done quite a bit of research. We have the whole slew of books behind Kevin for those listening or watching us on YouTube. Hello. If you're not listening to us or watching us on YouTube, then come hang out with us, subscribe, do all the things because we are in all the places. But we have quite a few Imagineering books, and so it was really fun to go into those books and see what they had to say about Blaine Gibson because just reading one book, you get some pieces, but then you start reading other books and it kind of fills in those gaps. And so that's really what we've done for all of these episodes, but especially for this one, because, we were just talking about before the show about his early life. And one book mentions just where he was born, and another book goes a little bit deeper into his history. So, um, my point is that if you have any interest in Imagineering, which I'm assuming you do because you're listening to this podcast, then definitely take a look at a wide variety of Imagineering books because there's interviews and all kinds of different things that you can find from putting all these different pieces together. So,
Yeah, and it's not just books too. There's also online articles and stuff, and
yes.
a lot of information out there. So we kind of try to piece together what we think is the most accurate, and we'll give you all of it so you can form your own opinions. But as far as like his early life, like Amanda was saying, there isn't really a lot out there. What a few places have mentioned, including the Imagineering story by Leslie Iwerks. She mentions that he grew up in Colorado and that he won a contest for soap carvings of animals. So that's kind of his introduction, like his first claim to fame as far as being a sculptor, because that's like we said, he sculpted the partner statue. We know him as a sculptor, sculptor Blaine Gibson. Um, but there is more to that. Obviously, we're going to go into that as well. But as far as his sculpting, there's also a quote in Rolly Crump's More Cute Stories Volume 2, that one's about animators and Imagineers, where he says in a very short little audio clip, amongst other things, that Blaine grew up on a farm and that he actually learned how to sculpt on mud balls. So it's one of those things where he wasn't formally trained, obviously, as a child, but like that's where he got his original, like, I guess, where he started. That's like where he began his future career in sculpting. And we're gonna explain that, like, that kind of wasn't even where he thought he was headed. So yeah, I think that's all I have for his actual childhood. I don't know if we mentioned he was born 1918 or not, but I'll just
Yeah.
throw it out there while we're talking about childhood.
Yes.
So,
February 11th, 1918 in Rocky Ford, Colorado.
yeah,
So,
which we all know was a weird year. I mean, they had their own pandemic that year, I think, right? That's the Spanish flu
yeah.
happened that year. So, end of World War One. So it's a weird time in the world, and he grew up on a farm in Colorado carving mud balls. So, and won a contest carving soap. So, yeah,
Yeah. He would later attend Colorado University and he left to join Walt Disney Studios because his goal was to be an animator, which I hadn't realized. Like Kevin said, like I just thought he was a sculptor and picked up the practice and made a name for himself that way, but he actually wanted to be an animator for a lot of his life. That was his big passion, and sculpting was kind of a hobby on the side, something fun for him to do at home. So he started with Disney in 1939, and he was an in-betweener. He worked on Pinocchio, Fantasia, and Bambi, and then moved to some short cartoons from 1951 to 1954, and worked on some features like Song of the South, Alice in Wonderland, and Peter Pan. And then he found an opening in character animation. And there was an interview that he did. It was from this book by Jeff Curdy. It's the Imagineering Legends book.
I've mentioned it
Highly
before on the
recommend.
show. Yeah,
Yes, we
definitely
have.
get it.
Um, very, very good book. But there's a quote by Blaine Gibson that said, regarding character animation, that quote, he was interested in faces and expressions and action, drawing things that were alive. So he moved into character animation and was the assistant or an assistant animator for Frank Thomas. And from what I understand, he was a really, really great mentor for Blaine, especially because this was what he wanted to do as an animator. So
For anyone who doesn't know, Frank Thomas is one of the nine old men. So he was one of the original animators for Disney, and definitely was a mentor to many of the later animators at Disney. So it's great that he's able to work directly underneath him, which I don't know how many animators have that like in their title, but yeah, it was good. I also had a note. I wrote it down, but I didn't write down where I got it from. Where for Song of the South and Alice in Wonderland, he was actually an effects animator. He wasn't like he was
um,
somewhere between assistant and character. I'm not really sure how that all works, but yeah. So I don't know what effects he did specifically, but they did mention
mhm.
that that's what his title was for those two films.
Yeah. So then while he was an animator, he took evening classes in sculpture at Pasadena City College and studied with a private instructor. So, really taking his skills and trying to master them. And he had an interview in 1995 with the E Ticket magazine where he said that, quote, he would read a novel and then the author would describe the characters and he would sculpt ahead to fit that description. So he was applying what he was reading and turning that into a physical medium through his sculpting work. So I thought that was really cool to apply things kind of like in real time as he was reading.
That's really, I mean, it's a amazing like talent to have, I guess, or skill. I don't know, somewhere between the two, I
Yeah.
suppose. So yeah, so he didn't want to doodle; he wanted to sculpt. And I remember reading something like elsewhere, talking about him doing sketches for projects where, like, I think it was for the partner statue specifically, where he was told like, "Hey, we want a statue. We're gonna get more into this later, but like they said they what I think it was Marty Sklar went to him saying, "I want a statue of Mickey and Walt," and he started doing sketches, and he's like, they were really rough sketches, and the things I don't love sketching. I just have it where I want to get my mind around what I'm going to sculpt because I know that's where all the real work is. So he kind of, even though he was an animator, he was good at drawing. That wasn't where his passion was apparently. So yeah,
Yeah. And then in the late 1940s, he exhibited some of his hobby sculptures at a studio art show, and he brought along these miniature heads that he made from the books that he was reading and a full figure gorilla, which he later learned that Walt and Herb Ryman were thinking of using that gorilla as part of the entrance to the Los Angeles Zoo, which I thought was really, really cool.
yeah, I wish they would
Fun,
have built
fun and
that.
different.
I assume
I
that they
know.
didn't because it's not there today, and I mean, unless I don't know. I
I
haven't
don't
looked
know
for it
unless
lately.
it was at one point or if it's
Yeah.
elsewhere. I don't know. I would love to know where it is today, though.
If you know, please let us know in the Discord. Mentioned at the
Yes.
top of the show. It's in the notes. Yeah, very cool. I feel like
Anything
I
else
had
around the
something else
40s
to
before we move to the 50s?
again to that quick sound clip from Rolly Crump's More Key Stories Volume 2. He does mention that I mean the way he says it out loud in his own voice for Rolly Crump, he says that Blaine Gibson had shows at the Disney Studios. So it wasn't like he had just one show that Walt happened to see. It sounded like he like, at least more than once was there with his sculptures on display. So, yeah,
There you go.
that's about it. I mean, I think
Awesome.
everything else you, we covered, I think, every movie that was on my list. So, yeah, let's move on.
Okay, cool. Awesome. So Walt would find out about Blaine's hobby, of course, as we just mentioned, and he recruited him in 1954 to sculpt the Indian head for the Indian village at Disneyland. And keep in mind, he was still working with Frank Thomas on Lady and the Tramp at the time. He did animation during the day. And then when he went home for the day, he would work on the sculptures. So it was his little side project. Because again, he still wanted to be an animator. At this point, he's like, I'm working, you know? Can't be bothered with this sculpture, like, I'll do that at home. That's my time to kinda decompress. And so I thought that was really, really interesting.
He definitely saw animation as his profession and sculpting as maybe his passion. So, yeah, when those worlds started to collide, I think it kind of confused him. Like, I can't sculpt for a living because that's just what I do for fun. Or I don't know. I hopefully he
Exactly.
didn't get to the point where like the thing he did for fun just felt like work and he didn't want to do it anymore. But I mean, he kept doing it for I believe the rest of his life. So
Yeah.
hopefully he loved it.
I
Um,
would assume so, yeah.
yeah, there's a quote in the Imagineering story by Leslie Iwerks, where it talks about how Walt found this art, in the studio library specifically, and it has a quote from Marty Sklar saying Walt saw some of Blaine's sculptures and put it in the back of his mind. And when work on Disneyland started, he said, Blaine, you're going to be my sculptor. And Blaine said, I'm not a sculptor, I'm an animator. And Walt said, No, 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 I need you to do this. And that was that. So
Yeah.
it's kind of an interesting point of like we're saying, like he didn't see his job as a sculptor, but Walt, being in Walt, it's not the first time I think we've gone through a kind of the similar story of
Yep.
Walt
I
saw
was
someone
just
was like,
thinking.
"Hey, you know what? Actually, you should be doing this." And then they were like, "No, that's not my job." And it's like, "No, you're going to be doing this." And then they do it, and then here we are talking about them years later because they did it just that well.
Yeah. That's crazy. Like we said multiple times on this show, Walt saw things in people that they didn't see in themselves and would find the best spot for you and to shine on talents you didn't know you had. So yeah, I love that. But going back a piece, while he was still working as an animator and not a full-time sculptor, he would sculpt some other projects as well, just as on the side in addition to animation. So he sculpted characters for the Oz projects that were always on the table. He did a giant Paul Bunyan boot that was supposed to be a viewing tower in Frontierland that never came to fruition, but the idea was there. He did mermaid sculptures for the submarine voyage. He did the Timothy Mouse on top of the Dumbo attraction. He also worked on the devils in the hell scene for Mr. Toad's Wild Ride per the request of Ken Anderson. And Frank Thomas himself asked him to create reference sculptures of the three good fairies from Sleeping Beauty to assist with animation on the characters. So, Sleeping Beauty was also the first project that Gibson was promoted to as animator instead of assistant animator, and he would later go on to work on 101 Dalmatians. And that's when in 1961, like Kevin said, Walt said, "Hey, you should come work over here at WED and as a sculptor." So, and this was about 7 years after Walt had originally asked him to work on the Indian head. So, it's just that full circle moment like you said, Kevin, like he had that
Oh yeah,
seed planted of like, "Hey, we're creating a sculpting division. I know just the man for the job."
exactly. I know someone who could do that. Perfect. Sign him up.
Perfect. Let's go.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. Well, speaking of art, before we get into his contributions are at the parks, let's take a quick moment and share about our good friend Lou over at Sunken City Design. So right now, he is having a not fundraiser. What would you call this?
You know,
Uh
it's definitely requesting stuff for a charity.
sure. So
Yeah,
he's partnering
because he's not
he's
asking for
partnering
money. Yeah,
no.
he's asking for
He
you
is
to spend money on
partnering
stuff. Yeah.
Yes, he's partnering with high desert artists and boys and girls club, excuse me. And he is putting together packs for the local kids for the holidays. So he has an Amazon account that he has put a wish list together for sketchbooks and paints and colored pencils and a whole art kit. So he is looking for 25 kits to be made. So if you are interested in helping out Sunken City Design, High Desert Artists, and the Boys and Girls Club, then definitely check out the Prime I saw Prime, Amazon Prime. Um, no, not Amazon Prime, just the Amazon account. I keep saying Prime in the corner and I got
I
confused. I
mean,
apologize.
Prime's part of it if you have it, but
Prime
if
is
you
part
don't,
of
you
it.
can still get these. So,
But I have this screen shared right now for those in YouTube land watching this, and there's Black Friday deals going on for some of these items right now, and that is fantastic. So you can also save money by buying them this week for the Black Friday deal. And yeah, so thank you so much for helping out the local kids and give it back to the community. So there you go.
definitely.
Nailed it.
Right.
Okay.
It's tough. We're doing these
Sorry,
live,
Lou.
guys.
We
Yeah, but
are.
it is for a good cause, and then I see that some of them have already been bought where there
Yeah,
are, like, a certain number of each of them they need, but none of them have maxed out yet, so they definitely
right.
do need your help. So if you are interested in helping out some artists, future artists, go ahead and, help out Lou in his, mission with, Boys and Girls Club. Alright.
Yeah, and they're gonna be giving them out around December 20th, I think is the day around that time. So we still have a little bit less than a month as of recording to get those supplies in. So, but like I said, Black Friday is the time to do it because that's going to be at the lowest price. So check out everywhere. We have on Sunken City Designs Instagram page. We have the links there. We have the links in our Discord. Where in the Park has the links in their link tree on all the platforms. So, Walt's apartment does as well. So be sure to check those out. Um, yeah, there you go. Sun Conceited Design. Got you covered. All right. So back to Blaine Gibson. Um, so he's at WED and he is the director of sculpture, but there's only a team of two. It's just him and Fred. No, Jack Burgess,
Jack
right?
Fergus, yeah,
Jack
that's
Bur.
what I heard, yeah.
Mm. Bur-
Fergus. It's
oh,
spelled Ferges, so we were kinda debating if it was Fergus or
Burgess.
Fergs,
Bur-
um,
mm,
but then like I said, there is the audio from the, More Cute Stories with, Rolly Crump where it wasn't really Crump saying his last name, he called him just Jack. I'm sure that's what he went by with everybody. A lot of Imagineers
Sure.
are just first name basis. But the guy who introduces it very clearly says Jack Verges. So, yeah, I mean, not as deep as I just did it, but he does seem like he pronounces it correctly. So we'll go with that as the guy's name. But anyway,
Sounds great.
so yeah,
So yeah, so he is supervising this new team, and they're working on quite a few projects over the years that we all know and love today, which is fantastic. So, Kevin, what were some of the things that he was working on?
he had where I was reading he worked on It's a Small World where he actually sculpted the heads of the dolls. And there was a story talking about how he sculpted three different heads to show Walt like which one he would prefer, and he chose the one that we see in the parks today. Obviously based on like Mary Blair's drawings, but she didn't draw in three like dimensions, so someone had to interpret it, and that is what Blaine Gibson did. I have Dumbo on my list, and you did say he did Timothy Mouse, so I'll assume that's all he did for that, but I don't really know. The
That's all
Enchanted
I got
Tiki
from this
Room.
one. Yeah.
For the Enchanted Tiki Room, I did read things talking about how he actually sculpted the birds for that. He didn't create the mechanics like within it. That was uh I was in my head a second ago. Now it's gone. Not Wathel Rogers. Thank you. So Wathel Rogers worked on the insides of the Enchanted Tiki Room bird. We talk about him on the most recent episode of the We're in the Park podcast. We'll tell you more about that in a bit. In it, yeah, in a minute. He worked on the Haunted Mansion, the Country Bear Jamboree, and Pirates of the Caribbean. I feel like Pirates is also one of the ones he's kind of more famous for, as far as like people who know like a touch more about Imagineering. They go, "Oh yeah, Blaine Gibson did the partner statue, right? Oh, I think he also sculpted the Pirates of the Caribbean." That's kind of how the conversation goes. He also sculpted the head for Lincoln for the 1964-65 World's Fair, which is also the same design that they have inside the park even today, which I understand that he's back now. We didn't check it
Uh-huh.
out when we were there last week. We'll check it out maybe when we go coming up soon. So yeah, we'll figure out if he's really there, and I believe it's still the same design that Blaine put together back in '64, but they may have done some changes over the years. Yeah, that's all the ones I have as far as Disneyland goes. I do have
I do
obviously.
have
Oh, what do you have for Disneyland?
I do have some other ones for just to add on to the tiki room. I read that it was both interior and exterior characters. So that could also mean the
Really?
tiki gods outside. Um, I
Mm,
don't know, that's what the book
I thought
said.
okay, because I remember like with Rolly Crump and his kind of cute stories. Like, there's a story about him going to Blaine Gibson to be like, "Oh, hey, I need these tiki sculpted for the tiki room." And Blaine was like, "Oh, that's really cool. I don't have time for that. Hey, how about you do it?" And that's kind of where Rolly Crump ended up sculpting them with like a like plastic knife or something. It's kind of a cute story. Again, you can
Oh,
look
that's pretty
that
cute.
up. So I don't know if
So
he may
maybe
have
that's
like,
what they
gone
meant.
by. He may have gone by and like helped him every once in a while, but I
Yeah.
think according to Rolly at least, he did those sculptures.
Gotcha. Okay. I'm just relaying information. That's all I'm doing here.
I'm not telling you that you're
Uh,
wrong because I don't know. I wasn't there. I'm just telling you that's
right.
what Rolly said. I'm not sure if Rolly is correct, but I like to like err on the side of Rolly. So
Right. Exactly. We need that on a t-shirt.
right.
Uh, so also he worked on the new animals and scenes for the Jungle Cruise. When
Oh
they
yeah.
we're making it from more serious to more funny with the puns and all of that. So he helped design some of those um, more comedic animal elements.
Yeah,
You
from Mark
mentioned
Davis's
this,
designs.
right? Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, so these aren't
Uh,
the newer new updates. These are the new updates
no,
from like the late 50s, early 60s. Yeah.
right. Yeah. You mentioned the 64, 65 World's Fair, and he actually had a hand in all four attractions that Disney put together. So for the Ford Wonder Rotunda, he worked on sculptures for the dinosaurs and cavemen. You mentioned It's a
Really?
Small World. He also worked on a multi-generational family that was included in the General Electric Carousel of Progress. And then you mentioned Lincoln. So he was very busy for that World's Fair.
I
Uh
think all of the Imagineers who worked on the World's Fair were very busy working on
yes,
all of the attractions at the World's Fair. It's pretty crazy.
that is very true.
Must have been a
Um
wild
and
time over there.
And then also along the rivers of America, the book mentions that he worked on several of the animals around the rivers of America as well. So yeah. But then he also has some work over at Walt Disney World as well.
I
Do you
think
have
he's
anything
most
about that?
famously known for his work on the Hall of Presidents. I read a thing
Yeah.
saying that he sculpted more than half of the presidents, which means that fewer than half were sculpted by somebody else. It could have been Verges. I'm not really sure who did the other ones. And he actually, I don't know. I mean, it's kind of skipping ahead here. I guess not. This is kind of where the story goes. He actually retired in 1983. Is that the right year? Yeah, 1983 is when he
Okay.
retired officially. But he actually came out of retirement to sculpt Bill Clinton when he became president in 92. I don't know. I'm not a history buff anymore. But then he also came back to sculpt George W. Bush in 2000. So yeah, it wasn't a political thing. It wasn't a statement. It was just he was like, I do the presidents. I'll come out and I'll do this.
Right.
Yeah.
Uh, I also have that he did sculpture work for the Country Bear Jamboree, America Sings, and the Future World Pavilions at Epcot. So he also, you mentioned that he came out of retirement. He was also a consultant for the Great Movie Ride over at Disney's Hollywood Studios. And then, of course, we alluded to in the beginning the partner statue in 1993 and the sharing the magic statue of Roy O and Minnie in 1999.
I do have one more note here. He created the animatronic, like the sculpt at least for the animatronic for Ben Franklin, Mark Twain, and Will Rogers in the American Adventure
I
over at
do. I
Epcot.
have I have a picture of that too from the
Oh,
book.
really?
It's
There you go. Proof.
right there. Right there.
So
Boom.
that's probably one of his last real projects because I was like 82 when that attraction opened, and he retired in 83. So yeah,
That makes sense.
very cool. But yeah,
But
like you
you
said, he
have
did come out of retirement for John Wayne and James Cagney in the Great Movie Ride.
oh. But I know you have quite a bit on the partner statue.
Oh yeah, I was really going down the rabbit hole in that one. So the partner statue, I'm sure you can all like picture in your heads. If you're watching on YouTube, I think Amanda can only push a button and boom, there it is on the screen. Again, it's Walt Disney holding Mickey Mouse's hand. I think that's is that backwards or is that how it
Flipped.
really
It's
is?
flipped. No,
All
that's
right, so
flipped.
this is flipped. All right, I'm like, I feel like it's one of those Mandela effects where I'm like, is that how it's always been? I had no idea. No, okay. So
No.
it's Walt on the left, Mickey Mouse is on the right. There are some stories on what it's based on as far as the concept goes, where back in the 80s, Charles Boyer, who was a Disney artist, actually created a painting called Partners, where it was Walt Disney and he was holding Mickey Mouse's hand, but it looked not identical to the statue. I know I read a quote once, I couldn't find it again for this to figure out who said it, where Blaine Gibson was kind of on the record saying, like, I've never seen that painting before in my life. I don't know, everyone thinks I copied it or something like that, where I don't know if it's true or not. But again, I did read a thing also saying that Marty Sklar came to him and kind of commission this, where Marty and Blaine were, I mean, as far as like, co-workers, they were friends. And even after he retired, they kept in contact. And he's the one who reached out to Blaine saying, hey, we want to create a statue of Walt Disney holding Mickey Mouse's hand, like where they would just be there, like, in front of the castle. That was the vision that they had. They went to him for that. So they didn't say, hey, make it look like this painting. They just said, here's the concept. Can we make this? Um, yeah, I'm trying to think of like what the Reader's Digest version of all of this text I have on the screen is. But but yeah, so it just kind of came down to uh back in the 60s, Blaine had actually been asked to create a sculpture, a bust of Walt Disney, which is on display. As far as I know, this is the original one that's on display over at the Walt Disney Family Museum. I think we talked about it on one of our last episodes. I think it was the show, or the We're in the Park podcast again. I'm not really sure. We start blending the two in our heads, at least I do. Um, yeah, Dick Irvine urged Gibson, hey, I need to get a bust of Walt Disney as a thank you gift. And Blaine made it. And Blaine felt like, according to like the story, is like he was tired. He was working on the project late at night. He didn't think he came out that good. And then the quote from Walt Disney after he received it was, "What am I going to do with this? Statues are for dead people." That's according to Jim Corcus, the late Jim Corcus over at Mouse Planet. There's an article where he mentions this story. And so it's kind of a funny thing where it went from, hey, I've created one statue thing of Walt Disney, where I know Lillian Disney was on the record saying, I don't want for you guys to ever put a statue of Walt in the parks. That was kind of her firm stance. But but in the 80s, when Michael Eisner took over the company, he started doing some funny things at the Disneyland resort, right? Where he was like, hey, let's bring more people into the park, which, it sounds great. We all love the idea of more people. But he started putting stuff in front of the castle, which really didn't rub Marty Sklar or John Hench the right way. So apparently it was the two of them who kind of crafted this idea for the partner statue, according to, I believe, Jim Corcus's article. And I've heard it other places too. I don't know if they're just quoting Jim or not. But apparently in the 80s, there were times where um, there was a huge jukebox in front of the castle one year for one of the promotions. And then another year, they had a circus theme where in front of the castle, they had a quote, cage of death, which is
What?
apparently a circus element. So, yeah, they were like, what can we do where like in the future they can't put anything here because you have Walt Disney, you have something so revered that you can't build around it. So that was kind of like the brainchild of, like I said, Marty and John Hench, and then they reached out to Blaine, and who's like, sure, I'll try this. And that's where the beginning of the sculpture started. Just one second.
Yeah, I think
Part
that is crazy that I can't even picture a cage of death in the middle of the hub, um,
no.
or anything other than what we have today, but that is just wild to me. I
Yeah,
would
there
be
was
on
one
that
year.
committee too of like whatever we can do to not make this happen again.
Yeah, they had a Ferris wheel in front of the train station. I swear I heard somewhere that they had the Ferris wheel in front of the castle at one point, but I haven't found anything to like validate that. But yeah, so they were just like, we need to fix this problem. And they did, I guess, because they haven't done anything like that since they put in the statue, which is good news.
Yeah,
Um, I'm
for sure.
trying to find any other fun quotes I can like pull out here.
Yeah. Well, while you're looking for more fun quotes, let's take a moment to hear from Getaway today. Because if you're planning your trip to Disneyland or Walt Disney World to see some of the sculptures that we're talking about, then you need to call our friends over at Getaway today and they will help you out. So let's hear more from them.
It's been a great show so far, but who's ready for an ad break? Did you know that the best way to keep our shows going is by supporting our sponsors? So, let's get to know more about the travel experts at Getaway today. They've been helping to make vacation dreams come true since 1990. And whether you want to visit the happiest place on earth or to travel to Orlando for a most epic adventure, they are there to help. Are you trying to find out which hotel is your best option? or which theme park tickets will work best for your visit? Are you concerned that you might need a last minute change? No worries. Their travel experts will help you out. Looking to book a cruise but don't know where to start? Hey, they can help with that too. They will find the perfect cruise for your vacation, whether it's your first time or you're a well-seasoned cruiser. When you book your cruise with one of the Getaway Today experts, you will have a dedicated agent to help you every step of the way. They take care of the details so you can have the most fun. Getaway Today offers peace of mind travel, allowing you to cancel or make changes up to 72 hours before your trip. You will always have the most up-to-date vacation information, both pre-arrival and upon welcome. Getaway Today guarantees the best prices, with no hidden fees, and every time you book through Getaway Today, they will donate a portion back to a charitable organization in your area. And so far, over $4.5 million have been donated. So go ahead and dial 1-855-GETAWAY, that's 1-855-438-2929, and be sure to tell them that Walt's Apartment sent you. Or just click the link in our show notes for more information and the best deals to start your Disney, Universal Studios, or cruise vacation planning. What I'm trying to say is, if you like to travel, check out Getaway Today. Alright, so now it's time to get back to enjoying that view from Walt's apartment. Let's get back to the show.
And we're back. Definitely check out Getaway Today, even if you just have a question, because they will totally help you out with that. They've helped us out with our trips, and they are fantastic. So, highly
Yeah, and
recommend.
they also have really great prices too. So go for it, 100%.
Yeah.
They beat Disney on
All
most occasions when I've looked it up. So you could do the same challenge.
right. All right. So, anything else about the partner statue?
Yeah, so much more. All right, so I was bringing down some notes during that ad break. So it did take him about a year to complete the original art for this guy, the one we all know in the park. The statue itself is 6 foot 5 inches tall as far as Walt Disney how he's depicted there, but he was actually 5 foot 10, so it's significantly taller than he was. Um, though I was laughing at myself, so I wrote down here that Claude Coates, though, who is known as the gentle giant Imagineer, we talked about him in an earlier podcast. Um, he was 6 foot 6 inches tall, so he was actually still taller than the partner statue. He was that tall. So if you want to get an idea of how big Claude was, again, not who we're talking about, but I still thought it was an interesting little fun fact. Um, there are some people who talk about how um, the height of Mickey Mouse, like how he's depicted on there, is inspired by a scene from Fantasia where Mickey shakes the orchestra conductor's hand. That's Leopold Stokowski. But that's not true. That's not how they determined his height. That's how they determined the way that Walt and Mickey would hold hands, was on that handshake. The
Oh.
height was actually from a 1939 animated short um, that Mickey Mouse was in called The Pointer. And there's a quote from Jim Corcus's Mouse Planet, the history of the Pointer statue article I referenced earlier, from Frank Thomas. So the quote's from Frank Thomas, quoted from Jim Corcus, if you could wrap your head around all that, where it says, and I quote the quote, when he recorded the voice, Walt couldn't help but feel like Mickey, and he added all these little gestures that were spontaneous with him. At one point during that speech, he put out his hand like this to indicate that Mickey was about 3 feet tall, and it was the only time we knew how big Walt thought Mickey was. So that was the whole reason why he is about 3 feet tall, is because that's what Walt had just kind of quickly indicated one time. How I have Mickey Mouse, he's about that big, he's about yay big. Yeah, I guess in that short, he's like a hunter shooting, like trying to like hunt a bear or something. So
Mhm.
it's one of those things where in your head, like, how do you depict a mouse hunting a bear? And-
Right. That's funny. I did not know that. I thought that the Fantasia uh, film when he shakes the conductor's hand, I thought that was the reference, but that's so interesting. That's how the handshake or the holding the hand
yeah.
is represented, not so much the stance.
Well, apparently there was a lot of debate between like how to depict it because again, Walt being a human has 5 fingers, Mickey
Mhm.
has 4 fingers. So like how does that go together, you know? So that's why they're like, yeah. So that's why it's more of a handshake kind of hold than like a hand in hand kind of hold.
At least fingers hold. Yeah, that makes sense. So all these fun things. I'm When we go to
Yeah.
the parks next, we definitely need to take a closer look at the statues. That's for sure.
Oh yeah. I mean, there's the obvious stuff on there too, as far as I mean, I say obvious to the Disney nerds. Where on Walt's tie, um,
Right.
Blaine put the STR logo. It looks like an Asian character if you don't know, like a Japanese or Chinese. I don't know. It's not. It's neither of those though. It's just the letters S, T, and R kind of smushed together. Some people say that Walt Disney designed that logo. I've never found anything to really like confirm if that's true or not. So take that for whatever it's worth. But yeah, it was for Smoke Tree Ranch. It was this vacation area over in Palm Springs where Walt had a house. So he was always wearing this like a tie with that logo on it. You can like find many photos of him with it. He was a big fan. They over at that area today, they still have a Walt Disney like something or other, like a cabin or a studio or not a studio, but there's a room there
Building.
that's dedicated to him still, a building.
That's cool.
On Walt's right hand, which is a lot harder to see. I've actually kind of made it where more of an effort to try to find it. I've heard the easiest one to find it on is over at the Disney Studios in Burbank. We're gonna go over like all of the ones that exist in a second, but just a spoiler ahead of time. What I'm about to say is, on his right hand, he has an Irish Claddag wedding ring. Claddag, I don't know, but it's a very specific ring that both he and his wife wore, like with their regular one on his left. So they had the regular ring on the left hand, the Irish ring on the right hand. And when he has his hand out on the statue, it actually is on that finger, but it's hard to tell what it is at Disneyland because it's so high up. But yeah. So apparently he got those when they went on a trip to Ireland in 1984. So yeah,
Hmm.
and the
Wait,
depiction of Walt
1984.
19 did I say 84? I'm
Yeah.
dyslexic, sorry, 1948.
Okay.
While they were still alive, they went to
Yeah, I was like,
Ireland.
wait a minute. No, I don't
Thank you
think
for
so.
correcting me.
Yeah.
I saw the numbers and I thought I said them out loud correctly, but apparently
Okay.
I
Just
cannot.
making
But
sure.
um but yeah, so I'll try to get this correct. Um According to Blaine Gibson, he depicted Walt while he was alive during 1954. That's the one that you see in that statue. That's why he looks younger. He's not the later Uncle Walt after Disneyland opened. This is right before Disneyland opened Walt Disney. So it's a little bit of a younger look, but not too young at the same time. Like the one that you'll find over at California Adventure, which was not designed by Blaine Gibson. Just to put that out there to make sure everyone knows that we are not saying that. Yeah.
No, I think that that's the right call because with Disneyland opening in 55, you want a Walt from that time period, and so I think depicting him as 1954 Walt is the way to go. Um, I think, like we were talking offline, when you see the animatronic Walt, it is a very different Walt, and so it's a really a juxtaposition when you have the video screens of Walt from 55, and a little bit later to then going from the animatronic Walt. So, but I think depicting the statue as 1954 is the right call.
And also to be clear, he did not sculpt the Walt Disney animatronic.
No, he
For
didn't.
anyone complaining about the way that the face fits on that one, we're not sure what's happening with it again. And it's not bad when you're in the actual theater, but the photos are definitely a little funny, and we understand that.
Yeah.
As
All
far
right.
as every one of these statues, they have a little plaque, and they are all a little different. Um, so I'll just go through these as well as I can over here with my throat acting up a little bit. So Disneyland got was the very first one. So that one was put in on. It was actually when they put it in, they said it was to commemorate Mickey Mouse's 65th birthday. So it was put in on November 18th, 1993. That's considered November 18th is Mickey Mouse's birthday because that's when Steamboat Willie premiered, and that's when the archivist Dave Smith kind of hammered it down because there were multiple dates that Disney had like marketing department has had called Mickey Mouse's birthday throughout the years, but Dave Smith was like, "How about we settle on one date as being his actual birthday?" And they went with the year that he came out to like the whole world. So that makes sense. So anyway, so November 18th, 1983, they put in the Disneyland statue, and underneath it there's a plaque that reads, "I think most of all, what I want Disneyland to be is a happy place where parents and children can have fun together. Walt Disney."
Mhm.
That's simple enough, sweet.
Yeah.
Magic Kingdom on June 9th, 1950, or 1950. I did it again.
There we go.
1995. June 19th. I don't know if they gave a reason for June 19th. I think that's very odd that they wouldn't have like
Mhm.
waited till November to like release another one. But here we are, a year and a half later, June 19th, 1995. The one over there was put in, and the plaque here reads, "It's similar but different. See if you can cast the differences. We believe in our idea, a family park where parents and children could have fun together. Walt Disney."
Hmm. Interesting.
So it's similar but
Yeah.
slightly different. Meanwhile, over in Tokyo Disneyland 1998, I couldn't find the actual day for this one, but in 1998, so somewhere within 3 years later, they put one over at that park. It's in the same spot in the hub. Um, I could be lying about that. Maybe it's like right before that. It's over by their World Bazaar area, which is their main street. So I assume it
Mhm.
is. We haven't been in that park yet, so it says the
Yeah.
end of the World Bazaar, which for our understanding, the end of Main Street is where he is located. So we can look it up later. Over there, it's
Mhm.
kind of the dedication plaque, actually, not just to Walt or anything. It's a dedication plaque to the entire park. So it's from E. Carden Walker, or commonly known as Card Walker, who was the chairman of the board back in 1983 when the park opened. And it says, to all who come to this happy place, welcome," just like the original one. Then it says, "Here you will discover enchanted lands of fantasy and adventure, yesterday and tomorrow. May Tokyo Design be an eternal source of joy, laughter, inspiration, and imagination to the people of the world. And may this magical kingdom be an enduring symbol of the spirit of cooperation and friendship between the great nations of Japan and the United States of America." So it's a little different than the ones we have over on our coast, but it's sweet. I like it. Um,
Yeah.
Over at Disneyland Paris in 2002, they got their own partner statue, but they didn't actually put this one in the castle park. They put it in the neighboring Studios park. So if you know your Disney parks, next door to Disneyland Paris is the Walt Disney Studios Park. It's currently had the name changed to the what is it? Something Worlds. Hmm.
I don't recall.
Oh,
I'll
Adventure
figure it out.
Worlds.
Adventure
No, it's
Worlds, what
Adventure
we're calling
Worlds.
it?
Yeah,
Okay.
I believe so. I believe it's multiple worlds. Because or at least one world. Because I remember laughing because like they have Adventure Land over at Design, then they have Adventure World next door. It seems like a weird name, but anyway, that's fine.
Yeah.
They're just going for
Adventure
a different
World.
theme.
Yeah.
And the plaque over there is also a dedication plaque for the entire park. I'm not going to read the whole thing because again, it gets a little like repetitive here. That one was signed by Michael Eisner, because that was a few years later. And then over at the studios in Burbank, they have the last of the fifth one. It's the fifth one on February 10th of 2003. But that one has kind of a weird plaque, which I don't understand. So if anyone's listening knows like what happened here, the plaque in front of that statue is about Walt Disney's 100th birthday in 2001. But the statue was put in 2003.
Yeah, that was really confusing to us. We went down the rabbit hole in trying to figure out what happened there. Like, where was the plaque originally? If it was dedicated in 2001, that makes sense for Walt's 100th birthday. But where was the plaque for 2 years if the statue was put there in 2003?
So again, there are a lot of photos of the Disney studios around that time. So if you know the story, please let us know.
Yes. So, well, this whole time, we've been talking about details about the partner statue. And if you are a fan of details, then you need to check out Where in the Park. That's us. That's Kevin and I. And my mom, Kim. She's awesome. And together we are Where in the Park and we're back. We have our game packs, we have our website, and So, if you are a fan of theme parks and you're looking to discover something new and you want to go explore the details of the parks, we have a seek and find experience for you. So, head on over to whereinthepark.com. And right now, if you're listening to this when this airs or around Thanksgiving week, we have a Black Friday slash welcome back sale, 20% off all games right now. No coupon needed. So head on over to our website, whereinthepark.com, and get yourself some game packs and explore the parks in a way that you've never experienced them before. Also, check out the Where in the Park podcast, where we're talking about the history, stories, and secrets behind those details of your favorite theme parks. And this past week, we come out every Friday, right? And our last episode, Kevin, what were you talking about?
It was so long ago, I don't even remember anymore.
Oh,
No, I'm just kidding.
no.
We have we have a series on the windows of Main Street. So we've been going
Yes.
through kind of slowly, but we deep dive into all the details along the way. Um, in this most recent episode, we go over the window for Claude Coates, who I mentioned earlier, the gentle giant. And we have Elias Disney, who I kind of touched on, which he wasn't really a big part of the park. He was Walt Disney's father. But we do explain the whole area where his name is in the park. And after that, we have Waithel Rogers. So yeah, we have those as the big names that we cover on this week's episode of the We're in the Park podcast.
And
That's
the
most recently.
history of
So
those buildings too,
yeah.
the Emporium and all that. So, yeah, it was a really cool episode. So definitely check that out. We're in the Park podcast and we're in the park.com. All right.
Cool.
So back to Blaine Gibson and his contributions around the park. Do you have anything else about the partner statue before we move on?
I had read somewhere, I couldn't find it again for this podcast, but I've read before that each partner statue is actually made out of a different like composition of metal
That's
to make it
right.
where it looks correct in the area where it is placed. Because the way the sun hits in Florida isn't the same way the sun hits in California. Even the same way it hits in Anaheim isn't the same way it hits in Burbank, especially in the little courtyard that they have there. So
Mhm.
apparently I don't know what kind of smith they brought in to like check out the metal there exactly, but yeah, I've heard that it is different at each of them. You can see from the photos that they look different, but again, that they have lighting too, so it's not like
Right.
it fixed it 100%, but yeah, there it is.
It's cool that they put so much thought into it, though.
Oh yeah.
Um, And like I alluded to before, there's also the sharing the magic statue with Roy O. Disney and Minnie Mouse at the Magic Kingdom. That was created in 1999. Super sweet. You can go sit on the bench with them. Um, and then he became a Disney legend in 1993. And that's also when he got his Disneyland window. So
He actually
above
got the
the
window the year before,
what I saw the same year.
1992.
Oh,
Yeah, they
see?
put in a lot of dedication when it was 1992. I'm not really sure what happened that year, but
Don't know.
yeah.
Well, there you go. 92 then, we'll go with that. And, so his window is above the Mad Hatter shop on Main Street, right to the right, and it says, "The Busy Hands School, Sculpting, Whittling, and Soap Carving, Blaine Gibson, Headmaster." So that, of course, alludes to the soap carving that Kevin was mentioning at the very, very beginning of the early years of Blaine Gibson, winning that contest for soap animals and the whittling and sculpting that he did throughout his career. So, but that's not his only window, right?
No. Yeah, he's
Yeah.
actually among the first people at the Magic Kingdom to have windows dedicated. In 1975, they added many windows. I guess many names to windows, and this is a shared window, so it's not like it's his own, like the one over at Disneyland. This is more of a thank you than the one person honor kind of window that we have at Disneyland today. But yeah, so over at the Uptown Jewelers, if you know where that is on Main Street of the Magic Kingdom, you'll
It's in
find
the middle.
a window.
It's in the middle, like on Center Street. So,
Yeah.
um, like if you are if you're at Disneyland, like, you have that area to the right where you go to the lockers, so that, like, similar area over at the Magic Kingdom, so it's, like, halfway down Main Street, you make a right, and it's towards the back.
And that makes sense because the window actually says Center Street, Academy of Fine Art, Paint and Sculpture. And then the names on it include Colin Campbell, Herb Ryman, Blaine Gibson, Mary Blair, and Dorothea Redman. So yeah, so they share that window, and it's a good list of names to be amongst. So
Oh,
yeah.
yeah. It's good
Is
good
that it
crew.
for dedications in the theme parks for Blaine?
Absolutely not. We got one more. And I don't know what year this was put in, but he actually has a crypt at the Haunted Mansion, at the Haunted Mansion at the Magic Kingdom. So it is a four-piece crypt in like the alcove of the brick while you're in line. So, if you're familiar with the crypt where you can like push on different things and it plays different musical instruments, right as you're rounding the corner past that, to go to the captain's tomb. Like, the right to the left, right as you round the corner to the right, it's on the left, so it's kinda hard to see, but there is a four-piece crypt that is shared by Mr. Freeze, Paul Freeze, our friend Ken, who's Ken Anderson, and brother Roland, who, of course, is Roland Rolly Crump, and um, Uncle Blaine's section is a train made a stain of absent-minded Uncle Blaine. Rest in pieces. So
There it is.
I think that's great. Talk about a list of names to be among. That's just fantastic. So good cast of crew there.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah, I also don't know when that was added. I don't know. I don't think it was an opening day crypt, but it is
No.
nice. It's interesting in the book. What was it People Behind the Disney Parks? Uh, Stories of those honored with a window on Main Street, USA. The book. I have it down on the floor. I'll look down. Audio got all choppy. Um, but in that book, like it just mentions that he has a tombstone at the Magic Kingdom. It doesn't mention it's a crypt or what it looks like. Luckily, we had photos, so we were able to verify what we're talking about over here. But yeah, so it's just kind of a weird. There's no year provided though in the book. So
Mm-mm.
again, if you're listening and you remember the year, you're like, hey, I know when they put that in, or I put that in. Reach out to us. Let us know. We would love to hear more about it.
Absolutely. That would be amazing. Because I didn't even know that that set of crypts existed until we did our episode on the Where in the Park podcast about the tombstones,
Yeah,
for like a Halloween episode, and then it was like, oh yeah, here's these four, and I was like, wait, what? We didn't even have a picture of it because, like I said, you're turning to the right, you're not looking to the left, so all those little details, crazy.
it's wild.
So
Yeah,
but yeah, other than that, the only piece that I had was just that he passed away. Blaine Gibson passed away on July 5th, 2015, at the young age of 97.
yeah, he made it
So
pretty far.
he made it pretty far, and um, I I just think about all of the Imagineers and cast members that he impacted throughout his long career, at Disney and beyond, and coming back as a consultant after retirement and just being that go to for so many. So I thought that was really cool. Definitely made
Yeah,
an impact, and to think about where he would be had Walt not pulled him from animation. You know.
I'm sure he would have done some amazing animating too. But as far as us theme park nerds, we really appreciate his contribution to the parks. I do have a note that after he retired in 1983, that he moved to Sedona, Arizona, and that's actually where he
Yeah.
sculpted the partner statue. He wasn't nearby, he didn't come on site. He sculpted it there, and then they shipped it out there to Anaheim to all the other four spots. So yeah,
That's
he
pretty
lived there
cool.
with his wife Coral.
Yeah, and I saw that he moved to Santa Barbara after she passed.
Oh, I didn't find that. It's good enough.
Yeah, I saw that.
That's near
Yeah,
us. That's good.
that is near us. Yeah. So, yeah, so there you go. Any other notes about Blaine Gibson?
I think we've covered everything that we can find about him. So yeah,
Well,
wonderful.
if, like Kevin mentioned, if there's anything that we've missed, or if you want to share your stories about Blaine, or your favorite piece in the theme parks, then definitely let us know. If you can hop on our absolutely free Discord and let us know. We have a special channel just for Imagine That's we're talking about any episodes there, or just the regular apartment lounge. And yeah, come join the conversation with us. If you have enjoyed this episode, and I hope you have, because we certainly have, then scroll on down to your podcast player and give us a 5-star rating. And if you have an extra minute to leave a written review or share it with another armchair Imagineer, that would just mean the world to us, because it really helps out the channel, and it tells Apple, Spotify, and all the players that we're doing something awesome. And if you are checking us out on YouTube, hi, then go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you never miss an episode. And again, be sure to check out our sponsors, our absolutely free Discord, and our Patreon page for all the details. The links are in the show notes. And until next time, continue to place trust in the magic of imagination. And remember, the details within the parks surround us in our everyday lives. Imagine that. See you next time.
To all who come to this happy place, welcome. Disneyland is your land. Here age relives fond memories of the past, and here youth may savor the challenge and promise of the future. Disneyland is dedicated to the ideals, the dreams, and the hard facts that have created America, with the hope that it will be a source of joy and inspiration to all the world.